All right, joining me once again here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is my friend Mychal Denzel Smith. Mychal is a writer for The Nation magazine, which you can find at thenation.com, as well as Feministing, which you can find at feministing.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Mychal Smith. Mychal, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
All right, so Mychal, you recently wrote a really interesting piece at The Nation about how racial justice and environmental justice are actually two sides of the same coin. Tell us, what do you mean by that?
Well, the idea for this past Earth Day at The Nation was to have writers that don't typically cover issues about environmentalism cover those issues, because climate change is one of, if not the most pressing issue that we face as a global citizenry. It literally affects our livelihood here on planet Earth. So in covering that, it's not something that I typically would write about, but in doing the research around it's so intimately tied to the issues that I do write about, in terms of when you're speaking about environmental justice, protecting the planet, the pollution and so forth. It disproportionately affects, in the United States, people of color, even though people of color are responsible for less pollution. They are more likely to breathe in polluted air, live in cities or areas, even in rural areas, that are more directly impacted by climate change, by pollution, and by our destruction of the environment. So the idea that these are two separate issues is false. In my reading of environmental issues, is that it's not even just in the United States, but globally, it's the people that are most disadvantaged already. It's the people of the global South. It is the people that are poor, that are already dispossessed. These are the people most directly and most harmfully affected by our just wanton disrespect of the earth and over abuse of it.
Yeah, and it's, again, like, who knows what happens when the scientists say that the major consequences are going to happen of climate change, but the people who are going to feel it, the people who are feeling it now and are going to feel when actual massive disasters start to come through the people who are going to feel it first are going to be the poor people. The rich people will probably, make some type of dome somewhere that they can just live under while the rest of us are dying out here.
Yeah, think about just, the recent major weather catastrophes that we've had that we're still trying to recover from. We could talk about the hurricanes, like Hurricane Sandy here in New York City. Like, the people that are still trying to recover from that hurricane almost 2 years later now are the people that were already disadvantaged by the society, mostly poor people and people of color. We can talk about Hurricane Katrina. Like, New Orleans is still, the Gulf Coast is still trying to recover from that hurricane, and we're talking almost a decade later. But who were the people that were displaced, and who are the people that couldn't come back to their home? It is the poor people of color that are already disadvantaged in the society, and the people that are now replacing them are the people that have experienced great advantage and privilege in the society, and are going to then be more protected, because they're going to build infrastructure that will protect them from these extreme weather changes, because now the moneyed people, people that are used to experiencing those types of advantages, are moving in. So yes, it happens always. Even injustice, any inequality always is going to hit the people that have already experienced injustice and inequality in their lives.
Yeah, and I mean, when I'm reading this, and talking to you, I'm thinking of like even on the south side of Chicago. I mean, recently they finally got this old cruddy coal-fired power plant shut down on the south side, but now they're the Koch brothers are like doing this runoff of tar sands oil, this pet coke junk that they're just piling up on the south side of Chicago, and it's like, again, these are areas where they're breathing this stuff, and they're actually, you're going to be having more cancer, you're going to be having more respiratory illness. It's the people who, and these are the same people who don't maybe have as much access to good health care, who are going to be the most disadvantaged to this and going to be actually paying the consequences, literally on their health of the diseases that they're going to get. And these are the same people who are trying to block them from having just basic health care.
Right. I mean, we can look at cancer rates, we can look at rates of asthma in particularly Black communities, and then see the direct correlation between that and the quality of air that they're breathing in, the quality of water that they're drinking, and we can see that's exactly what's at fault here, and it's because these are traditionally disadvantaged, oppressed groups that are bearing the brunt of our society's addiction to unhealthy environmental practices. That's just the what it boils down to, is that people, typically rich white people, are going to be less affected by this thing because they don't have to be. They can afford not to be.